I'm bringing you my final 2025 rookie running back rankings. We're going to talk about a lot in this video, including the landing spots, historical draft capital, year one expectations. You're going to hear from a lot of coaches what they envision for these running backs. And I'm going to split today's video into 5 categories. Number 1, smash running backs. All right, these are guys that you draft and you sleep like a baby knowing you can start them day 1. Number 2, round 2 targets, guys with serious upside and a pathway to opportunities. Number 3, round 3 targets, running backs who are in a position that are worth taking a shot on. All right. And number 4, deep sleepers. That's obvious. And number 5, the guys that you're putting on your taxi squads. All right. Let's get into our first tier at the 101. We are putting Ashton Jeanty here. Okay. We expect him to be the 101 in all of your Dynasty rookie drafts. There's no reason why he shouldn't be. Obviously, he lands with the Las Vegas Raiders. We know how good the hit rate is for a round 1 running back. But if you look at these guys that went round 1 in the past 11 years, you're talking about names like Ezekiel Elliott. We're talking about names like Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, like some of the best running backs, Todd Gurley, some of the best running backs in fantasy football. That is the expectations that I have for Ashton Jeanty here in year number 1. If you look at the depth chart, he is clearly going to lead this backfield. All right. Sincere McCormick, Raheem Mostert, Zamir White, they are not stopping this man from getting 320 touches. And if you look at my overall Dynasty running back rankings as well, he instantly catapults into that tier number 1 alongside Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson. And projecting his first couple years in the NFL, I think both Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs are great reference points, right? Jahmyr Gibbs as a rookie, top 10 finish. Same with Bijan Robinson. Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson in their second seasons, top 3 finishes. Those are the type of expectations I have for an Ashton Jeanty as he steps into his NFL career. All right, we're staying in this smash running back group, and we're going to the 102 in my tier 2. That is Omarion Hampton. Lands in the perfect landing spot there with Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman. The run game is so important to these guys. I'm begging you, do not let Najee Harris stop you from drafting Omarion Hampton at the 102. Yes, Najee Harris is there, but he's there on a 1-year deal. He's getting paid around the same money as a Devin Singletary. It's not like this guy is the future of this offense. Sure, Najee's going to be annoying to begin the year, but around week 10 onwards, you're going to wish that you had an Omarion Hampton on your roster. When we look at my Dynasty rankings for an Omarion Hampton, he comes right into that tier 2 for me, right with Saquon Barkley. Look, if you're a contender, you can make the argument, I know exactly what I'm going to get from Saquon Barkley. We know what he did last year. Obviously, when he finished as the running back 2 overall, running back 1 in points per game, multiple seasons top 5, signs a 3-year extension. But if you're a rebuilder or more a young team, Omarion Hampton, you can make the argument that he might be your preference. Now, if we're talking expectations for Omarion Hampton in year number 1, I would have the same expectations that I had for Josh Jacobs back in 2019 when he was a rookie with the Las Vegas Raiders. He finished as a top 12 running back, was very reliable, was a good rushing threat, didn't have as much work through the air. I think you could see a similar outcome for Omarion Hampton here in year number 1. All right, moving on to tier number 3, staying in our smash running back group, we have the Ohio State running backs here, Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, both guys that I anticipate being the starter of their backfield from day 1. If you look at the depth chart over there in New England, it's Antonio Gibson, it's Ramondre Stevenson, and it's Travion Henderson. The one thing that typically keeps a running back off the field on all 3 downs to start their career is pass protection. But one thing that we know from scouting Travion Henderson, which we talked about a lot this offseason, is he is one of the best pass protectors, if not the best pass protector in this entire class. In fact, the NFL believes this. We know that because the team that didn't even draft him, the Colts, listen to their GM talk about Travion Henderson's pass protection.
For our league, the hardest thing for them is pass protection. Like, it's just, all of them have to learn. There's very few. Like, I will say this, I thought Henderson at Ohio State might have been as good a pass protection back as I've seen come out of college.
And then as far as Quinshon Judkins goes, he has a backfield where it's Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson, and himself. Clearly being a top 40 pick in the NFL draft, you're not going to spend that type of investment not to give him a majority of the workload in year number 1. And for him, he has a benefit because all these other running backs are going to be having to travel, creating new environments, new home. He actually stays in the state of Ohio. Listen to how he talked about staying in the state of Ohio as a Buckeye.
Just that feeling of being a Buckeye and getting the feeling of just staying home and you don't have to go out of state anywhere else, and just getting to keep making my mark here in the state of Ohio. That's important.
Both of these guys are absolutely smash hits. If you're in a PPR league, I would definitely prefer Travion Henderson. But when we look at the historical hit rate of a round 2 running back, we're talking about a 71% hit rate for our star status, and then a 41.7% hit rate for our superstar status. That superstar status meaning top 12 point per game season. And when we're talking about year 1 expectations for these Ohio State running backs, I'm expecting, think about what last year, what Bucky Irving did. Think about what Chase Brown did towards the end of the season, James Cook. These are the type of seasons I'm expecting from these guys from day one. They will be starters in your lineup each and every week. All right, in our last tier for this smash running back category, we've got 2 guys, RJ Harvey and Caleb Johnson. Look, the reason I'm going to put Harvey ahead of Caleb Johnson is simply because of those historical hit rates. When you look at the drop off from round 2 to round 3, it is significant for both our star and superstar statuses. For star hit rates, it goes from a 70.8% to a 50% hit rate. And from superstar, it goes from 41% in round 2 to 22% in round number 3. But you could easily make the argument, look, Zach, this was the second pick that the Steelers had because they traded for DK Metcalf. You know, they've already come out and said that they're going to use him. I hear where you're coming from. That's why they're in the same tier for me. These are guys that you're going to be drafting in the late first round of your Dynasty rookie drafts. Both smash hits. For RJ Harvey, he has a backfield that has Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin. Those are the guys that he has to battle with to win opportunities. And he was a second-round pick for Sean Payton. I want you guys to think about this for a second. Sean Payton has only drafted 4 running backs before day 3 as a head coach. You ready for this? Shout out to Ryan Heath over on Twitter. Reggie Bush, second overall. Then Mark Ingram, who was a first-round pick. Alvin Kamara, who went 67th. And RJ Harvey, who was 60th. And Ryan Heath goes on to say that he's athletically like a thicker Reggie Bush, who he drafted there second overall. Do not sleep on RJ Harvey in this offense. The only reason he was lower in my rankings is because of his age. He's 24 years old, right? Which means after his rookie contract, he's going to be, 28? So that is an interesting thing to think about. But we're, not thinking 5 years into the future when we're thinking about the running back position for Dynasty football. So when we look at, like a potential ranking for these guys, for RJ Harvey and Caleb Johnson, I'm putting them right there in my top 20. Look, if you're a team that's contending right now, you might prefer a McCaffrey, a Derrick Henry, those guys that are just going to produce for you straight away here in year number 1. But as of right now, I would definitely rank these guys both as top 20 guys. And I would have the expectation that they're going to be fringe top 24 names with higher upside than that here in the first season in 2025. And lastly, on Caleb Johnson, he has a backfield where he's competing with Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. I don't believe Caleb Johnson's going to be on the field much for third downs. I do think Jalen Warren is going to take that role, but he'll get plenty of rushing opportunities in an Arthur Smith-led offense. And in fact, if you want to get more hyped up on Caleb Johnson, just listen to what head coach Mike Tomlin has to say about his role.
Agenda, this is a high volume, capable runner who was the center of his offense. A lot of NFL or Sunday-like runs, if you will, meaning he did it from the home position or the pistol position into a lot of loaded boxes. There wasn't a lot of guesswork or Saturday-like holes on his tape, and that made the evaluation a fun one and the projection an easy one.
If you want an in-depth breakdown of your team with customized trade targets, players to buy, sell, hold, then get your team playbook today by either becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND or by going directly to the Flock store, regardless of what promo code you're on. And if you want it done live, make sure you get the live tier. Those links are in the pinned comment. All right, we are going to move into our second category for the video. That is round 2 targets. So these are running backs that ideally you are targeting in a 12-team Superflex league from the 206 onwards in your Dynasty rookie drafts, okay? And the first name we'll talk about here is Cam Skattebo. He goes round 4 to the Giants. Now, the reason that these guys are going to be further down in my rankings is, number 1, the historical hit rate is far different, right? If you look at just for star status from round 3 to round 4, there is a dramatic drop off. We're talking about 50% to 24% hit rate. So our expectations for both Cam Skattebo and Bashul Tutin, who are in this tier, should be significantly lower than the guys ahead of them. However, they're both in positions where there's a clear pathway to opportunity. I mean, if you look at Cam Skattebo in that backfield, yes, Devin Singletary's there as a veteran, but between him and Tyrone Tracy, I think either one of these guys could really go out there and win this job. I think it's more than likely there will be a split backfield here, but I believe Cam Skattebo is probably more likely to handle more of the carries and more of the goal line work. So he's definitely someone that is worth targeting. I mean, this is a player that Brian Daboll and this franchise kind of fell in love with because of his toughness. Listen to what Brian Daboll had to say about him.
And he's got very good vision and quick feet. He's 220-pound back who runs with power, toughness, and has the type of personality that I think Joe did a great job of, along with the scouts, of bringing in guys that have a lot of toughness.
I love what Brian Daboll is saying. One of my favorite comps for Cam Scatterbo coming out of college was David Montgomery, so I could definitely see him being an important part of that heart and soul of that offense. Next, we got Bashul Tutin, all right? We love Bashul Tutin. After the Combine, he became a James Cook type of player comp for me. At the Combine, if you don't remember, he was first in the 40-yard dash, first in the 10-yard split, first in the vertical jump, and second in the broad jump. He completely dominated the Combine. He had great film, just a slight fumbling issue, but he kind of became a James Cook type of comp for me. Now he joins the Jacksonville Jaguars, which have a backfield that is very confusing between Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, and now Bashul Tutin. Here's what I'll say. Tutin has a little bit of an upper hand in my mind as far as the upside of a player, simply because Liam Cohen was not here when they drafted Tank Bigsby or Travis Etienne. He has no loyalties to those names. However, he did decide Tutin is important to the future of this offense. And what did we see last year when the Bucs and Liam Cohen got a hold of a mid-round running back and Bucky Irving? That ended up being a very good situation. So when we're thinking about year one expectations, I have Cam Scatterbo and Bashul Tutin right here in my tier 7 amongst the names of the Pachecos, the James Conner, the David Montgomerys, the Trey Bensons, who I loved last year. They're kind of in this category of, like you try and rank them because you recognize that there's an upside here where they could really win their jobs, but you recognize that the round 4 hit rate is very bad. So I think there's potential for these guys to be sneaky, league winners like we saw last year with Bucky Irving, but the expectation should not be that. The expectation is more of a wait and see. All right, jumping into my next tier here, we are in a different group. This is now round 3 targets of your 12-team Superflex formats, okay? First name in 6A that we'll talk about here, just because he's separating himself just because of the landing spot, just because of the opportunities ahead of him. That is Jaden Blue out of Texas. Now, full transparency, Jaden Blue was not a player that I had ranked top 10 in my rankings before the draft, but obviously things have changed. If you look at this backfield here, all right, we've got a combination of Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue, Miles Sanders, and Phil Maffa out of Clemson, who we'll talk about a little bit later. But Jaden Blue has just as good of an opportunity as anyone in this class to win the starting job for the Dallas Cowboys. It's more than likely it'll be a combination of Javonte and Jaden Blue in this backfield. But if you ask the head coach himself, Brian Schottenheimer, he was asked hey, do you think the running backs that you drafted today are capable of being starters? Schottenheimer's response was, I would hope so. Otherwise, we wouldn't have drafted them. And then he goes on to say, when I took this job, I promised Jerry that no one would outwork me in this role. So clearly, they, as a staff, believe that Jaden Blue can take over this job. And if that's the case, we should be taking him seriously as a round 3 targets in your rookie drafts. And when I look at ranking a name like Jaden Blue, I'm putting him right there amongst the names like Javonte Williams, Jalen Warren, Ramondre Stevenson, J.K. Dobbins, Rashad White. These guys who are probably RB2s on their own team, but have potential to be like a fill-in starter this year in 2025. All right, jumping into my next tier here, we're staying in round 3 targets. This is a big group of running backs that I am going to be targeting in every single draft I'm in as these round 3 guys. All right, starting off with Jarquez Hunter. Let's just say the whole tier here. It's Jarquez Hunter, Woody Marks, Dylan Sampson, Trevor Etienne, Jordan James, and DJ Giddens. These are the guys I'm going to be targeting in that early to mid 3rd round throughout the 3rd round in general, right? And look, when you look at these tiers, one says 6A, one says 6B. I slightly do prefer Jaden Blue. When you look at the historical hit rates between a round 4 and round 5 running back, there's not a very big difference between these two historical hit rates. So at that point, it comes down to which running back do I envision having the easiest path to opportunities, and Jaden Blue was that name for me. But I love this tier of running backs here, right? Starting off with Jarquez Hunter. He goes to the Rams in round number 4. I love me some Jarquez Hunter. Warren Sharp actually tweeted out that the Rams had Jarquez Hunter as their top-rated offensive player on the board entering day 3. Les Snead had his eye on him, and they said, that's our guy if he's there on day 3. And this is according to Peter Schrager. So they got their guy, if you will. I actually went back and looked at my rookie report for Jarquez Hunter. I had his pro comp, his ceiling pro comp, as an Austin Eckler light. So I could see Jarquez Hunter really disrupting this backfield with the Rams, I mean, he was very good at creating more with less. He was 4th on a limits to lemonade report, constantly doing more with less. So do not sleep on one Jarquez Hunter. But this entire tier is full of players that you can make a good reason to target, right? Woody Marks with the Houston Texans. He's the perfect RB2 behind Joe Mixon, and he has the build to take on all 3 downs. Dylan Sampson, we all love Dylan Sampson. He was someone that we probably would have had up there in that tier 4 if he went in round 2, right? So he has a great opportunity to be a spell back. Trevor Etienne there with that round 4 capital. Jordan James, DJ Giddens. I will say with Jordan James, if you look at this depth chart over there in San Francisco, I mean, there are plenty of opportunities if Christian McCaffrey goes down for him to have some serious upside this year. They traded away Jordan Mason. Don't forget that last year with Christian McCaffrey's injury, literally everybody in Dynasty football was rostering these 49er running backs, so definitely have him on your roster. And then DJ Giddens to end this tier. I love DJ Giddens. I am shocked that he went round 5. Unfortunately, he's this low because I just don't see a pathway where he can really take over that job with JT being there. All right, let's move into tier 8. We're now getting into this group of deep sleepers, if you will. All right, I love all these players, but the historical hit rates are bleak. All right, so all these guys were drafted either in round 6 or round 7. If you look at our star status, both of those rounds have a below 10% hit rate. And if you go to superstar status, round 6 has never hit superstar status. Round 7, only 5.6% in the last 11 years. So let's be fully transparent. That's why they're called deep sleepers. The most realistic outcome for these guys is that they do not ever become serious contributors to an NFL offense. But I've got Brashard Smith there at the top of this list. I'm a huge fan of Brashard Smith. Y'all know this coming out. He was kind of like my Tyrone Tracy of the year. Warren Sharp actually tweeted out and said, of course, Andy Reid got one of the best receiving running backs in the class who doubles as a special team returning ace. Brashard Smith was number 1 in the class, 25% target rate on his routes. Number 2 in the class, 1.68 yards per route run, ran under a 4.4 40-yard dash. He can be an absolute weapon in this offense. Now, if you look at the backfield, it is actually a little bit crowded between like Pacheco, Kareem, Elijah Mitchell's a good player when healthy. But Brashard Smith, to me, if you look at any of those players in that backfield, if Andy Reid is thinking, I want my next Jerick McKinnon, I think Brashard Smith is going to fit that bill to an absolute T. Don't forget that Jerick McKinnon at one point was a top 24 running back. He had a top 24 running back finish under Andy Reid. So don't be surprised if Brashard Smith is some surprise running back this year. Target him in your 4th rounds. All right, moving on. We got Taj Brooks there with the Bengals. He went in round 6. Unfortunately for Taj Brooks, it looks like Chase Brown is probably going to steal that, still keep that job. But after Chase Brown, this depth chart is very weak. Taj Brooks should be taken more seriously in your rookie drafts. Right after that, a name that I was not high on before the draft, Ollie Gordon. He goes to a backfield that has Devon Achane, Jalen Wright, Alexander Madison. There's still plenty of upside with Ollie Gordon, but the likelihood that he dethrones Devon Achane as a round 6 running back, it's not very likely. Right after that, we have Kyle Monangai. This is one of my favorite Mr. Irrelevant picks, if you will, in your Dynasty rookie drafts. I just took him last night as my last pick. If you look at that backfield in Chicago, with all due respect to DeAndre Swift, he was the least efficient starter in the NFL last year. Rashawn Johnson's just been a guy, so Kyle Monangai has plenty of upside there. And then Devin Neal to end this tier, who unfortunately got buried to the Saints. Last tier here, this is my taxi squad tier. These are guys that are going to be undrafted in your rookie drafts that are worth picking up. Names like Phil Maffa, Ja'Cory Grusky Merritt, Khalil Mullings, Damian Martinez, Kent Allen. None of these guys got good enough landing spots or draft capital to take them seriously, but they are worth spending a taxi spot on after the draft. Pick them up for free and just stash them and see what they can be. And to end today's video, I'm going to give you my top 5 running back targets in the Origins tournament over on FastDraft. If you don't know, you can play on FastDraft with me. Use the promo code LAND. We'll match your deposit up to $50. I'm going to give you my rookie report and my 2025 season rankings when you do so. But these are 5 guys that I'm targeting in my Origins tourney. Number 1, Brashard Smith, we just talked about. He'll be a 6th-round pick for me there. Just a fun upside name. Number 2, Jordan James. In a best ball tournament like this, rookie-only tournament like this, if there are any injuries there, Jordan James could win your league. Number 3, Woody Marks. Same thing. If Joe Mixon goes down, he could be a serious contributor, and I think he will contribute day 1 on 3rd downs. Number 4, with Dylan Sampson. That is an offense in Cleveland that historically has run the ball a lot. He'll have plenty of opportunities as well. And number 5, Bashul Tootin. In case Liam Cohen comes out and says, you know what? this is my Bucky Irving. We're going to build our running back room around him. Then I want to make sure I have as much Bashul Tootin as I possibly can in my Origins tourneys. Check out the link if you want to draft with me. I appreciate y'all watching the video. Last thing I'll say is our rookie report as well as our cheat sheet are going to be available on the Flock site. If you want to dominate your rookie drafts, you can become a member with the promo code LAND and also get the team playbook from us. But I appreciate y'all. Have a good rest of your day, and thanks for watching. All love. If you're thinking about supporting us in this economy, that's big love, and you deserve love in return. So for every yearly Mother Flocker member who uses the promo code LAND, we're giving out a free team playbook, our 2025 rookie report, access to all premium tools, free site vouchers, and of course, a huge thank you from the LAND crew. You're far too kind. That's love.